We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This Open Championship update is presented by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
His visit on the show is brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountain Land Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, Uinta Golf as well. Of course, you hear him on Real Golf Radio every Saturday morning. He's our buddy Brian Taylor. Hello, BT.
Yo, BT.
Hey, what's up, boys?
We're doing well. We were making fun of some family members and a family member of my dental hygienist who blocked off 2 weeks to watch the World Cup. When they are playing across the pond, are you waking up at 4:36 a.m. to see Justin Rose's tee time?
You know, that's always the dilemma. I can tell you when I was younger, I was very enthusiastic about getting up really early and watching the coverage. Of course, so much has changed. You know, your ability to, consume content has changed over the years, right, as well. So I probably will stay up late tonight to watch the first tee shot, which is, I think, a little before midnight our time usually. I haven't looked the exact first tee time, but something like that. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to kind of see it tee off and then get a little sleep, wake up. And then, breakfast in the British Open is like one of my favorites. Just sit there, get some cereal, whatever you're having, and just watch some golf. And this one's going to be particularly, a lot of times you're sitting here, it's 100 degrees outside, and then you're watching guys over there in sweaters and stocking hats and things like that. It's not going to be that way. It's going to look a lot like it feels here watching those guys play that burnout Birkdale. So it'll be fun.
I've heard you talk a little bit about this, but how different is it to play this British links style course, and why does it favor, kind of the best players in the world?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jake. And golf is, with links especially, the firmer, the harder it is, the faster the course plays, the more difficult the test. And that's for a lot of reasons. Off the tee, links courses are notorious for pot bunkers and, in some cases, heavy gorse bushes or tall heather or whatever you want to call it, right? So when the fairways, just think about it this way, when the fairways are soft, you could hit a drive and it'll kind of check up in the fairway and it'll roll out a little bit, but it pretty much stays where you hit it. When it's firm and fast, just think about trying to hit a tee shot down your road and hope it stays in between the gutters and doesn't hop into anything that it shouldn't, right? So that's kind of what these guys are going to be facing. I heard John Rahm mention he could probably get a 6-iron 280 yards on some of these holes when they're downwind on these firm, fast fairways. So what it's gonna do is bring out the creativity. It's going to create some decisions for these best players, and that's usually when it causes the players at the highest level trouble, when they can't just point and shoot, point and click, same thing, on the next hole. They really are going to have some really good caddy discussions. I think is going to be really entertaining this week, where guys are going to be discussing strategy off the tees, into the greens, and certainly into the greens, same thing. Most of the time, you're going to be playing shots that you're going to allow for some run up. You're not throwing darts like you do at a lot of the USPGA courses. And so I think that tends to lean to the strengths of the best ball strikers, which tend to be the best players in the game. And ball striking is just a kind of a cool term that I've always liked, that just describes that a player that's able to control his shot shape, trajectory, all of that kind of thing, and play shots with different clubs into different windows. And when you're able to do that, it's a different level of creativity that will be on display, and I think it'll be really entertaining for people to watch.
Outside of weather being beneficial, depending on when you're teeing off, if it's going to get worse or it's going to dry out or whatever, do you have any personal theories or conspiracies when it comes to groupings of, hey, I think it's beneficial to be in a strong grouping early, everyone's playing sharp, or do you think that makes it more difficult? Do you have any of your own personal opinions on that?
I know there's stats out there that'll tell you, late early versus early late, in certain majors tend to favor certain players. But at the Open Championship, it's difficult because the weather not only can change daily, it can change within the day, on a lot of these links courses. So, you could sit home on TV and watch the way the course is playing for the guys in the early groups when you're in the afternoon wave. And by the time you get out and tee off, the conditions have completely changed based on the direction of the wind. And so that's some of the uniqueness of links golf. As far as your grouping with players and who's playing well and having a strong grouping, I do think you tend to see often guys will draft off each other a little bit. One guy's hot and the other guy's, you got a couple of good players grouped together and both are kind of drafting off each other and going low. So, and then by going low, major championship speak, sometimes that could be hanging around even par, but playing well. And so I consequently, you got a couple guys in your group going bad. Sometimes that makes it extra difficult to focus and try to play your game and play well when your playing companions are struggling. So, that's a unique dynamic to the game. Who do you get paired with? And that's why it's always interesting when the majors release these pairings. Some of them are traditional. At the Masters, the defending champ usually plays with the U.S. amateur champ and things like that. So there's certain, sort of traditional groupings, but the Open Championship anymore, it sort of has been marquee groupings at all different windows of television time, right? So that when people are tuning in, they've got somebody that they recognize to watch.
So now that Scheffler is missing cuts again, I'm assuming we all just assume he stinks now.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't put any money on that guy. He's let's see, I saw a stat today that said he's the only player in the 4 major strokes gained, which means basically how he ranks against the field in shots off the tee, shots into the green, shots around the green, and putting, that's inside the top 15. The next closest that has any sort of has those 4 inside the top 50 is Ludwig Oberg. So when you look at it, the guy's still playing a super high level of golf. I think he's I think I said this earlier today, he doesn't quite have the dust perhaps that, he had the last couple of years where every sort of putt that could have lipped out, lipped in. And it seems like this year he's had some that could have lipped in that lipped out. That's golf. That happens. But, Scottie's still the odds on favor for a reason. He's the number 1 player in the world for a reason. And he's a defending champ. So it's kind of cool too. I love stats. And the last time a player went back to back at the Open Championship was here at Birkdale, Padraig Harrington in 2008, coming off of his win at Carnoustie in 2007. So, we'll see. I think Scottie's still a good bet this week, and I would have to say that the claret jug runs through him.
What do you think we can go 18 months, but really last 2 years have meant for Rory McIlroy and his legacy and how he's going to be viewed long term?
Now you're asking me from my perspective. And it's interesting because Rory, I think, is the most polarizing, guy in the game right now. And people would argue Bryson DeChambeau. I'm with you. There's a lot of guys. Sergio's pretty polarizing these days. But as far as popularity and game, you got a back-to-back Masters champion who was for, the last 5-6 years, the spokesman for the PGA Tour against this whole live thing. And then he's got away from that, didn't want to do anything with it. Now he doesn't really want to talk about it. Now he says things that are just he's in this era of I feel like he's too young to be saying some of the things he's saying, in the sense that when Jack Nicklaus or Gary Player or some of these guys sit down after they hit the ceremonial tee shot at Augusta, they'll wax on and on about, back in the day, or this is what I see, or the challenges of the game today, or the problems are, and, things like that. And they sort of, that's like elder statesmen sort of looking back, on tell you what they think and what's wrong and why it was better then and all that kind of thing. And I feel like Rory's sort of tackling some of those issues. And maybe it's like too early, like he's still winning, like he's still the 2-time reigning Masters champion. And so he says some things that you just kind of go, huh? And some people hate it. Some people are like, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, things like that. So as far as like legacy goes, like from a playing standpoint, to win back-to-back majors, to get the career Grand Slam, like Rory's, beyond a Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time greats, right? And the success he's had on both Europe's side, plus, in the U.S. on the PGA Tour, is undisputed. And he's likely to go down as the greatest European golfer of all time. But when you think of legacy, I often think about how people are remembered. And I do think that in this age of social media, of clips, and quotes that just get passed around and commented on and dissected and broke down. I think he's lost maybe a little of his appeal in the court of public opinion just because of some of the things he said. I think a lot of people, that loved Liv don't like the things he has to say, and even the PGA guys. He's sort of like one of those guys that seemed like he was on one political party, and now he's sort of like skating the line between the two, and that, I think that has some polarizing effects. So that's kind of a weird answer to say, like, his golf clubs have done the work and the talking that makes him one of the greats of all time. Sometimes I think his mouth makes people sort of turn their head sideways and go, huh? What was that? And that'll be interesting to see where he goes from here.
All right, Ben and I had a debate on the show yesterday, and I'm curious to where you weigh in here, BT. Who has done more damage to their legacy and reputation, Tiger or Phil?
Oh, wow. Well, I think at the moment I would say Phil. Tiger is off doing his rehab and what have you, and yet everybody still loves Tiger again, right? Yeah, and it's almost like, oh, there goes Tiger again. Now, I'll say this, and I don't want to make light of it at all, right? I mean, DUI situations, regardless of whether it's prescription drugs or whatever the alleged. I'll just go with alleged for the sake of not knowing all of the details firsthand. But you've got, so far he's really only hurt himself. I mean, when he crashed that Genesis, he was lucky to survive himself. It certainly affected his career and his ability to play the game at the highest level, but he survived. At this point in time, he hasn't really hurt anybody else. If he were to, and it seems inevitable if you keep up that kind of behavior behind the wheel, that it's sort of inevitable that you're going to hurt or kill somebody. That's one of those things that would be, obviously life-changing for so many. And but at this point in time, barring all that, I think it's Tiger just, I don't know why, but Tiger seems to have a little bit more equity built up, where Phil seems to be a bit of a pariah right now. And with his, trying to submerge, the PGA Tour and the trader sort of thing that he went through. And then now you add on, it was always sort of, well, at least he wasn't this like Tiger. Well, now it seems like those are some of those similar things he's going through now, at least allegedly. And I would say Phil for sure has had the biggest damaging effect. I don't know that he's welcome back on the PGA Tour, maybe ever. He's already in the Hall of Fame, so they can't really take that away from him. But he's sort of, scarlet letter guy, where I think Tiger still has, plenty of capital left amongst the public. That's my opinion. I don't know. How did you guys debate it?
Well, we decided Tiger's offenses were more egregious from a legal standpoint. Yeah. Because taking drugs and driving is probably a bad idea.
More illegal than hitting on dudes' wives, which is not cool either.
And hiring the cart dog to drive around with your phone, which is kind of funny. But Tiger's affairs, we remember, they captivated the nation for like a month. They kept a counter on how many gals had come out to say they had affairs. Remember the Perkins waitress? So I don't know. Phil's are more recent, right? But Tiger's are pretty epic.
You're also right, BT, that Tiger is so much more beloved at his height than even Phil was. I mean, so much more beloved. So he's got more room to fall, which can be good or bad.
Although Phil was the Arnold Palmer. Like
he's the popular.
He would have built the statue. Like he actually spent more time with the fans. Even though Tiger was more revered, I think Phil was more maybe even loved in the sense that Phil would take the time to sign the autographs, take the pictures, do all the public appearance stuff. Regardless of how he was off of camera, he always seemed to be on, in front of the public. And he was literally going to be, he could have slid into the CBS tower. He would have been calling shots. He would have literally had the world. He was the oldest major winner coming off of the Kiowa win at the PGA. Like everything was set. I don't know. I mean, Phil was always so entertaining for how spectacularly he played golf, whether it was for the good or for the disaster. It was always spectacular. And I think only Phil could have spectacularly blown up his career and his reputation the way he has done in the last several years.
Hey, this is America. We love tearing people down, but we love building them back up. Yeah, so we'll see.
The story is not finished.
No, it isn't by a long shot. But the collapse has been pretty epic, that is for sure. BT, you are epic. You do a great job covering, every week, but certainly covering all the majors. We appreciate you and all of your fine work.
Hey, enjoy the Open, guys. It's going to be a long drought before the first week of April when we get to see another major after this week. So savor.
Thanks, BT.
See you, boys.
There you go. That's Brian Taylor. Hear him every Saturday morning on Real Golf Radio.
Just hoping Tony Finau keeps his nose clean. Seems
Well,
like a good
Tony's
dude.
got to get his.
I was talking to the president.
Tony's got to get his game back.
Correct.
He's got to get his game back on track, get healthy, and qualify for some tournaments.
He will.
We can worry about legacy later.
Got a bunch of kids, right? He's doing the young dad thing.
Hey, it
He'll be
is
fine.
super hard to, unless you are Scott Scheffler, who sets an unfair bar, it's hard to stay on the PGA Tour. It's hard to compete in all these tournaments, week after week after week.
We were making a joke. I think it was off the air about you should want Lionel Messi because he's a bad father. Now, we don't know if Messi's a bad father. I don't even know how many kids he has.
No,
if
we
he
were
has
talking
kids.
about him watching film.
But the
all
idea
time.
is he is a bad father because all he does is watch soccer, which makes him a great player. The correlation then being that you should want players on your team that are bad fathers because it means they're going to be good soccer players because they're not spending any of their time with their family.
They're not with their children.
Because we were talking about how there's really no correlation between a lot of the things that we seem to praise, a la Caleb Wilson, talking about maybe I like basketball more. And it's like, yeah, well, I don't know if Shaq liked basketball, but he's a better player than you were. Not all those things matter. But now getting into Phil took time to sign more autographs than anybody else. Doesn't mean he was the best guy, apparently.
Or maybe he was really great at the time and has had a turn.
Or has had a
I don't
turn,
know.
right.
I don't know.
Correct.
He obviously is Phil is an adrenaline junkie. I mean, most gamblers are. That's why they do what they do. And Phil's game always played into that, right? That's why he was popular. People liked that he took chances, and he had some pretty epic failures, at the U.S. Open and others that he bounced back from and was continued to be, kind of the gambler. Then it eventually paid off. But, chasing that adrenaline is often bad for people and leads to bad decisions. I think at his heart, he's a gambling addict, and that has led to other issues.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah. Chasing it.
Yep.
Because if you look at the amount of bets that he was doing in his heyday and just the sheer volume of it, that's a guy who's chasing it all of the time.
Can't stop.
And then you hear all the epic stories about him in practice rounds and betting big with these other players and having all these brash moves and all these like legendary things. And it really is just somebody that has an addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no romance to it actually at all.
Mm-mm. But that chasing of adrenaline, I'm sure, is part of what makes him a great golfer. Like Robin Williams, rest his soul, was bipolar, and his mental illness was part of what made him brilliant, unfortunately.
Who was our Olympic snowboarder in Canada who became a drug kingpin that just got arrested?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, those are absolutely related.
Right.
That wasn't an accident. Now, not every adrenaline junkie becomes a drug dealer.
No, but it's in the same family.
But there's a reason that guy became a kingpin and was also a super high-level snowboarder.
Right.
Those were the two sides of the same coin.
Breaking Bad. The science teacher starts selling meth.
Like,
No, not close. Not quite.
You're almost there.
I think I have.
You haven't watched Point Break yet.
I think I have the opposite of that.
Which is
Like-
probably the right way.
Like the adrenaline that comes with coiling a hose is too much
You're
for
right.
me. I need to.
You're right. You really celebrate moderation.
Yeah, celebrate the anti-adrenaline.
Right.
I don't. The adrenaline frightens me.
Yeah,
I can't have any.
right.
But,
But you know what? Relatedly, and a positive, your car insurance rate's got to be like
it's not bad.
$35 a month.
Yeah, pretty good. It's not bad at all.
No speeding tickets. Yeah, you're doing
Nothing.
great.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.